Hey everyone! We are back with a new video. Let's begin. The first set of the game gives a dominating victory to YSM, leaving the Inchonk dumbfounded and scattered. This scattered their composure and they weren't able to handle the deadly combo in the second set of their game either, ending up losing without causing a single kill for YSM in the second set too. Lee Na-in, overwhelmed, with the appreciation and the title of MVP publicly credited Seo Moon for believing in her and finding her from the background to carve her skills for better. The whole social media kept overflowing with praises and appreciation for Na-in. Even the fabs of Inchonk mentioned her for having skills good enough to not only frustrate the team players but also the audience witnessing the match. The refreshing match was a hot topic for everyone for a while, but the praise wasn't only limited to Na-in. Sungho's great skills and proper timing with that casual attitude was considered something complementary to Na-in's tricks, and his skill was considered unique and different from what they usually observe. Seo Moon once again got even more recognition and status in people's eyes than he already had, since it was his insight to identify such players and skills and use them in a way that would leave everyone's mouths hanging. His perfect construction of the once worst team refreshed the respect everyone had for him. A few days later, Jiho talks to Yob about his team, questioning if he really discovered the two, which gets an annoyed answer from Yob on why would he take up his Lil Dongjun's credit. Jiho then praises Yob's insight, leading to some self-praise from the narcissist Yob. Jiho then wonders if the two will be able to perform this well if recruited in the national team, earning a mock from Yob to first deal with the issue of using Choi Hyuk as a tank. Jiho tells him that it's already been dealt with and Hyuk is not the one causing an issue, but it's his team, and it's hard to convince the coaches provided he isn't the most liked person in the battlefield business. The coaches call him out for just being a name from the past and not knowing anything about coaching and the battlefield. Yob sarcastically mentions that if those coaches know about it, then why does the team still look like this? This earns him a laugh from Jiho. Yob is annoyed by what he hears and wants to face those coaches on his own, wanting to know if they have the courage to say such stuff on his face. Jiho laughs nervously that of course they would never say such a thing to Yob, mentally adding their reason being the fear of getting beaten up by the violent Yob. Yob then questions what the price of Choi Hyuk is, leaving Jiho confused at the spontaneous question. In the next 5 matches, YSM earns consecutive victories, causing chaos on media with this newfound competition for other battlefield teams. Dongjun excitedly announced to Yob about a win streak of 5 being their highest streak on the lunch table. This again infuriates Yob for the former condition of his team being so pathetic that this is what's exciting and worth crying happy tears for the emotional Dongjun. Dongjun further praises Yob for being right about the two players that looked weak up front, to which Yob reminds Dongjun of his own mean words, questioning Yob's choice of the two. This obviously leaves Dongjun regretful, who apologizes for it. Yob then mentions that by now other teams must have figured out that the key player is Sungho, and taking him down can leave Na-in limited on her end, to which Dongjun gets nervous and agrees with Yob, but Yob nags him of getting a solution and not just agree with his words. Getting flustered, Dongjun suggests improving protection for Sungho, to which Yob mocks him for not being totally useless, causing a slight spike of anger in Dongjun for Yob baying his back. Yob then hopes that the win streak would still remain if the training of other members start paying off on top of their two center players. Yob then darkly mentions to Dongjun for getting their team's win rate up to 50% by half of the season, causing Jun to lose all the color from his face. He shivers at the thought of their current rate being 31% and the demand being increasing it to 50%. Youngwon sits opposite to the two, listening to the chaotic conversation, and thinks of their win rate increasing as a true possibility since they aren't the same team as they were before. He also takes in the fact that Yob would have thought the possibility through, since he may seem irrational but makes very calculated decisions. Meanwhile, Yob looks at Dongjun with a crazy look on his face, asking him to do well or he'll unleash the violence within himself due to his childhood traumas, as if it's not something psychotic to say. Youngwon thinks of the kindness of this team on him, that he can finally repay now with his efforts. Yob suddenly gets up and stands on his chair, surprising everyone. To encourage the team players, he announces he'll invest more in the company of the team manages to pull their win rate up to 50%. He then takes a leave wondering about the only problem left in his mind. He wants to recruit more players, but he needs better stats for that. That is when Jiho sends him a list of people from youth club in hopes of Yob finding some hidden talent there too. Yob is impressed and decides to wait till half GE season to start recruiting again. Just as Yob figured, after 6 matches, other teams figure out strategy to beat the powerful duo, but that doesn't drop the newfound spirit of the YSM team, and with the help of Yoonghwan the team stabilizes itself and improves enough to increase their win rate increases to 55.6%. For recruitment, Yob visits Yunmyung High School where the Battlefield club owner of the high school gives him a visit of the club, but Yob is not impressed by any of the players left, regretting the fact that other recruiters chose the better ones first. That is when a slacked-off guy enters the gym room late because of his studies. Yob notices him and greets him. Beam is surprised to see Seo Moon Yob in front of him and greets him with enthusiasm, a bit scared recalling Yob's incident of punching his fans, but Yob just laughs it off and questions why isn't he focusing on practicing only for Beam to tell him he's not been offered from anywhere. Yob then smiles, offering him a handshake, since he decides to recruit him into YSM, leaving the kid, with ability to move in shadows without notice, too dumbfounded to comprehend the situation. If you guys are new to the channel, I got you covered with all good content like this, so feel free to hit that subscribe button and join us on the road into greater heights. And if you guys enjoy the video, or if you guys find it interesting, let me know by dropping a like on it as well, would be seriously appreciated. Let's continue. Yoon Beam is taken aback at the sudden offer from the superhero of the world. He is confused on how does even Yob know about him, but Yob smoothly bluffs about seeing some of the youth club matches. Only, he is unaware of Beam being benched for the entire season last time, so Yob has to fake a story of just knowing he had the talent and superpower to be better. The unaware kid is bewildered at Yob's statement and scratches his head in embarrassment, trying to explain that he is not fit to be a good player and his superpower isn't very useful and unique either. This kind of pisses Yob off, so he just tells Beam to believe what he says since he's already seen his record of recruiting players. Yob tries to clear the picture that Beam's superpower is in fact unique and useful. He knows it's a little awkward and hard to pull off smoothly, but superpowers awaken due to a person's nature, and Beam's introverted nature is what makes him perfect to be in a shadow. He encourages Beam that the only way his skills can become better is with his efforts and hard work. Yob is certain that his superpower can evolve, and to convince him even more, he proposes a bet for Beam. He asks him to be a part of YSM for 2 years. If he improves, he can extend the contract to 3 more years, and if he wants to drop out, he will receive $300,000. This money would be good enough for him to enroll in a university 2 years later. Beam is convinced, so Yob literally drags him onto his bike and speeds, leaving Beam out of order in the head, only to rush to convince his mother and get the contract. Satisfied with finding a player in the first youth club, Yob enthusiastically proceeds on his list of the rest of the youth clubs. The only issue is, by summer all of the potential players have been recruited, and the multiple clubs he visits, no player is left without offers. Yob is frustrated and disappointed at failure in his personal recruitment drive. Yob reaches the last school, hoping to find something here or just go home. In the last school, Yob finds a player, Choi Young-min, who causes Yob's veins to pop out by pleasantly rejecting all the incoming offers to him, since Battlefield is only a hobby to him even with his good enough stats and his superpower of observing the opponent to find out its weak points. Jungmin's coach also offers his disappointment at the fact that he refused every good offer that came to him just because of this reason. Yob asks if his parents also support him in this, to which he smiles, stating it obvious that they don't support his decision since he can earn a good amount of money with his stats, but Mr. Optimist just shrugs his shoulders that he can live whatever way he wants and his passion isn't fighting on battlefields, but he wants to be a writer that spreads hopes and dreams with his words. Ironically, all this sounds like some fever to Yob, who thinks of Young-min as having a disease he calls the artist disease. But nothing can defeat Yob's mind. He uses Jungmin's own words against him, reminding him that Yob himself has fought for this world hard in the dungeon and spread hopes in the lives of people by closing the dungeon's doors. He dramatically sighs of feeling like not having any good biography written on him lately, and he'd love to have someone write a biography on his life from his childhood up till his days in the dungeon. He suggests it would be a good dark fantasy and tempts Youngmin about telling him the details of what happened in the dungeon, something he never shared with anyone before. Yob's dark trick comes to use and Youngmin suddenly announces agreeing to a contract of 3 years with YSM in return of this opportunity. Even though this contract was much expensive than Bium's. Yob is satisfied of at least bagging 2 potentially profitable players for his team after a hard day. Youngmin, lastly, questions Yob of how does he not have any weak points since every best player he's ever observed had at least some weaknesses, but he found none about Yob. An arrogant Yob cuts him off of knowing there's no one else in the world like him, but Youngmin also outs out the question of why won't he play himself on the battlefield, to which Yob answers the same answer for the millionth time of not wanting to destroy random people like that. Yob informs Jiho of his progress along with telling him of his next stop being recruiting Choi Hyuk as tank in his team from Sansung Spirits Clubhouse. A whole ruckus is caused between Guard and Yob about not letting him enter, but a warning to some past violent events of unstoppable Yob make the Guard let him enter. He looks at the flashy and show-off setup of the club, not really impressed by it, when the club leader greets him wanting to discuss the matter of Choi Hyuk with him, but Yob is adamant on wanting to talk directly to coach Choi Moon-sung about this player transfer. The club leader, walking on thin ice in terms of Yob's anger, tries to deal with it on his own but fails and decides to take him to the coach. Coach Choi Moon-sung adamantly greets Yob, who notices the coach's hand shaking while greeting him, but more than that he notices a familiarity in his face, as if he knows him from somewhere. Seo Moon Yob is interjected by the team captain about if he knows their coach Moon-sung. Yob is a bit confused on why is he here, but the club leader behind is sure it's just in case Yob loses his patience so Moon-sung can use the team captain as his human shield. Yob keeps staring at Moon-sung in deep thought, which freaks him out on why he's been staring at him like that. Yob keeps repeating he knows him from somewhere, which causes an extreme panic in Moon-sung, confirmed that he indeed is hiding something, but he simply denies it as some misunderstanding in a stammered tone. But Yob's mind once stuck on this, can't most 5 forward, and he keeps racking his brain for answers since he's affirmative that it's not some good memory he's trying to recall. While a scared Moon-sung tries his level best to wave this topic off. Suddenly, Yob's eyes narrow at Moon-sung, remembering him as someone who pissed him off in a dungeon, which obviously leaves Moon-sung all pale and shuddered. Yob glares at him red with anger, recalling him as someone who tried to kill Jim during a dungeon raid in 1993, while Moon-sung is terrorized on why can't Yob just forget bad stuff since he even grew a mustache to try and avoid such an encounter. In 1993, when ready for a raid by 200 superhumans, leader Seo Moon Yob, 18 then, was leading the expedition and guiding the members to progress slowly since the dungeon has a lot of traps. A 24-year-old Moon-sung cockily appeared, questioning his methods of moving slowly and wasting time and wanting to lead it his own way of moving quickly and attacking the leader directly. The usual anger issues of Yob kick in, but he is controlled by some senior member, so he deities to deal with it later. Inside the dungeon, Yob tries to take everyone at the decided pace, but an eager and immature Moon-sung paces ahead quickly in a surety that he can handle the situation, only to not be able to understand the traps, just like Yob had told him. He is saved by an inch by Yob from killing himself, but his wrong move lead to their expedition extending to a total of 9 hours, pissing Yob off. Yob decided to deal with Moon-sung out east RHE dungeon, and by dealing he obviously meant beating Moon-sung close to death. Moon-sung shudders at the flashback while Yob glares at him, suggesting talking to him without any other company for his own better. Moon-sung reluctantly agrees to this, and Yob, noticing his fright, bugs him about not taking revenge of something so old now, but he might take revenge for something that happened recently. This terrorizes Moon-sung once again, who questions what he did, to which an angry Yob reminds him that he purposely denied the change in position for Choi Hyuk on Jiho's suggestion, since he was very much aware of it being Yob's idea. Moon-sung tries to defend himself that Choi Hyuk is fine at his place, but Yob throws in the fact that he knows Hyuk is also in favor of changing his position. But then Yob calms down that violence is bad, which gives Moonsung a slight sigh of relief until Yob starts tapping on phone, which made Moonsung anxious, who upon questioning freaks out even more since Yob plans on spilling the dungeon incident to some media reporters. Moonsung warns him about suing him for it, while an evil Yob in turn threatens him his life. Moonsung very reluctantly agrees to give him Choi hike, but at $1.2 million, which makes Yob call him petty, and hence Yob politely threatens him again to make him reduce the money and call it the price of his life. Moonsung keeps reducing a little amount while Yob keeps mocking him for devaluing his life, and the deal reduces from 1.2 million to only 100K. Yob satisfactorily shakes hands with Moonsung, telling him it's all clear between them now. No past to fret about and only peace established. A mentally frustrated Moonsung thinks that it's finally over between the two now, but on the day of announcement, record shows the deal between Coach Dongjun and Coach Moonsung on a price of only $50,000, with a shaken-up Moonsung shaking hands with jolly Dongjun. Subscribe to watch more videos like these, turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel out. Thank you for watching and see you on the next part.